All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us again tonight or this morning, again, depending from where you are calling in from. It looks like we are hitting that 11 a.m. UTC mark. And today is going to be pretty good. I think there's going to be a lot of updates that's going to be shared. And first of all, have you guys seen our new gold check? It's looking really great. And among other things, of course, we are introducing our new CMO, who you guys have probably seen in our announcements, and are going to give him some airtime to introduce himself. But tonight on this AMA, of course, we have our speakers, Julian Kwan, CEO and co-founder of IXS, alongside Aaron Ong, who is the co-founder of IXS, and of course our new CMO, Yohan Brizolier. Yeah, I guess maybe you guys would like to say hi, and then Johan, a brief introduction of yourself, and then a few updates from Julian.
Yeah, why don't you, Johan, you go first?
Sure. So yeah, I will start to introduce quickly myself. So I'm Yohan, and as you can hear, I'm French. I founded and successfully exited my own digital and PR agency, serving Fortune 500 clients such as Microsoft, Meta, Heineken, some institutional clients also like the World Bank, the European Union, and a lot of banks. Um, I most recently held senior leadership roles in digital asset exchange. I co-founded also a startup that tokenized three in order to solve the problem on the agroforestry industry related to the liquidity and the traceability. And yeah, I'm involved in I would say in the crypto and Web3 space since 2019. So I'm an early user on the DeFi since the beginning, and yeah, I try everything on Web3 space. I play games like Axie Infinity. I bought land on Axie Infinity on Sandbox. I own NFT and on Ethereum, and most recently Ordinals. And yeah, I'm quite passionate also, as you can see on RWA. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and I think everyone's been looking forward to your arrival, Johan. Great stuff there, and I think we'll hear more from you in a minute. And I think now we are passing it over to you, Julian, for some updates.
Okay, great. Well, I think you all know Aaron, and you know who I am. So thanks for joining, everyone, and a big warm welcome to Johan again. We're already in the second or third week. Yeah, look, I think we were really looking far and wide around the world. We wanted to find someone that we felt was one foot on each side of the space. The crypto marketing is a tough role, I would say, because it's very dynamic and it's very high speed and it changes very quickly. So I think what we've been looking around the space, especially with this cycle, which is unique, I think to versus the last three or four, we've had this huge um, surge of institutional adoption at the crypto level, and we've seen now just starting, this institutional adoption at the RWA level. So you can think about every other type of asset class in crypto, and the two biggest narratives today, and I always thought this would happen years ago. It took a bit longer. It's Bitcoin and RWA, right? That's with undisputed. Um, and so yeah, we're excited to kick off a whole bunch of new activities, campaigns. We'll talk a bit more about that a bit later on in terms of the direction here. I think what's important to understand as well for the community is that I think the current status of altcoin market is obviously very suppressed. A lot of the VCs, a lot of the retail community investors are down and out, don't have any cash, right? The new money coming into the space is not coming from where it used to come. That's a big important point. So when you start to see our marketing activities roll out for the rest of the year, some will be the same and some will be quite different. And there's no use to yell and scream about what people think we should be doing or what they did what worked last cycle before, because that's just not working right now. And that's fundamentally true for many of the elements. So it's become a lot more TradFi. It's become a lot more Web 2, Web 2.5. All the new money coming into Bitcoin is digital asset treasury companies. I'll talk a bit more about that in a sec. It's all Wall Street, which plays to our strengths. We've always been, I think, unfairly um, punished by building an actual real business in the space where you had all these other types of things, either RWA platforms that have nothing but vaporware or just different types of assets that got a lot of noise for a short period of time and then vaporized, like metaverse or I don't know, other things out there. But RWA was always going to be and will be a bigger industry than crypto because there's more real world assets in the world than crypto will ever be. They'll work hand in hand. And now we're starting to see uh, very important people like the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying we're going to want to see trillions of dollars of stable coins printed. He's got his own motives, but with with $2 trillion more stable coins that'll grow and grow, then a lot of that will seek investments and use case buying and selling RWA tokens, right, on RWA platforms. So we have a very clear institutional adoption coming. We've got a clear new administration in the US that's 100% supportive. It's almost too supportive. Trump's doing all kinds of stuff on his own, but from a government level, positive regulation around stablecoins, positive regulation around crypto and RWA. So a lot of tailwinds there. And so I've mentioned that before, but they're important things that really matter. And RWA was never a pump and dump scheme. It was always a very long, drawn out, hard path that to do it properly required licenses. It's taken many, many years. We spent 5.5 years getting licenses, and all of these things that most people don't care about or maybe don't even really recognize. It's the only things that immediately the institutions ask. And so, a lot of the work that we've done in the past that wasn't, I guess, hasn't proven or extracted its value at will start to come a lot more clear as you start to see more BlackRock Fidelity tokens on the platform, more partnerships coming out that are of that institutional level, and the biggest names, a lot of the biggest names in the space, coming down our path and starting to work with us. So all of that is just, it's the old adage, good things take time. Um, the right way of doing things is usually the hard way of doing things, and the team has never cut any corners. And hopefully, I think we really at this point now we've come through a new period of time. We'll start to see and get some respect per se, I guess, for what that for all that hard work that continues today and continues on. And that's just that's what we're doing. But let me segue into just some recent activity. I was just up at Bitcoin Hong Kong, Bitcoin Asia, it is actually. We went to the Bitcoin for Organizations Day, which is a business day run by Bitcoin for Organizations, which is a non-for-profit spin-off from Strategy, Michael Saylor's Strategy, that essentially has been set up to help companies develop their Bitcoin treasury strategies. And so it's very professional. It's real business people. It's definitely the most valuable crypto conference out there now for us because it's so targeted. There's no random projects flying around. It's all people who are serious about working with Bitcoin. Of course, there's a bit of the craziness, of course, because we're in crypto. But the point I was trying to make is that even 5 years ago, we started a small Bitcoin treasury of our own, and we had even some of our VCs very upset with us because we did that. And it was, we haven't really mentioned that yet, but anyway, that's the point I'm trying to make is that on stage last week, there's 160 today, there's 160 public companies running the Bitcoin treasury strategies. I think there's 1 million Bitcoin surpassed now. I mean, MicroStrategy's got 630,000. And so it's quite, it's really amazing to see that development. And now it's become this model. And essentially, I look at Bitcoin treasury, we call them DATs now, I think, digital asset treasury companies. So the DATs are definitely, in style. It's basically Wall Street's version of doing ICOs, right? I mean, this has gone all the way back full circle. And the digital asset treasuries are growing, and this is just the public companies, right? These are the ones that we know who are public because they're raising money to do this, and they've got to tell everyone what they're doing. It's a public company. There's infinitely more private companies doing this, and they're popping up out of the woodwork again because of the nature of crypto, cyber, hacking, scammers. A lot of people who own Bitcoin don't say it publicly, right? Probably the super majority. But the point is that at this conference, we've been preparing the launch of the Bitcoin Real Yields product, which I'm extremely excited by. Every single one of these groups is looking for yields, right? And so to break it down, what's available today for Bitcoin investors, you can do four things, basically four things, right? You can do absolutely nothing, which is what 95% of people do, just hold. You get capital depreciation and appreciation, but you get no interest and no yield. The second version, you can actually you can borrow US dollars against your Bitcoin. Right? So there's a lot of platforms out there now. They will lend you stable coins at 8 to 12%, maybe higher, maybe a bit lower, right? So, but you're paying for that privilege. So you take your Bitcoins, borrow against it, over collateralized or whatever LTV. You pay for that privilege to do that. Take those stable coins, do whatever you want with them, right? The third version is known as BTC Fi, essentially Bitcoin layer twos, the same kind of thing we built out in Ethereum EVM layer twos, trying to solve so-called problems with Bitcoin, block space, number of transactions, et cetera, et cetera. The basic model is you stake your core Bitcoin, as a lot of them call it, or layer one Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin. You stake that on that protocol, and they will give you rewards in their altcoin, right? So it's DeFi rewards. It's Bitcoin layer two utility token rewards, right? So that's great. It's interesting. It's innovative. It's managed to capture about $6 or $7 billion of Bitcoin, but then $2.1 trillion is not interested in that. Now, the reason they're not interested in that is because there's lots of different reasons, right? One is they're basically scared or highly concerned they're going to lose their Bitcoin. The second one is they might be a business or even a family office or a fund or a DAT. They're not structured. They're not allowed to put their assets into DeFi, right? Smart contract risk, hacking risk, etc. And then, and some of them don't, and a lot of people don't value, and this is not my opinion, but a lot of people don't value altcoins at the same value as Bitcoin. So I don't want to put my Bitcoin at risk to earn yields in something, in an asset that's of a much lower quality, right? So there's multiple reasons. There's a whole laundry list. So that's where we came up and stepped in with, all right, well, we actually conceived this product from multiple inbound inquiries from very large Bitcoin miners, some of the biggest names in the world, who said, well, we're sitting on all this Bitcoin. What can we do with RWA to generate a real yield? We can't do BTC Fi, all the reasons I just mentioned, and we're just sitting on this big pool of value, and we want to extract that value. So we've kicked off many discussions with the DATs. I think that's going to be more of a long, big, heavier lift, big pools of capital, but they're all listed companies. They've got insane amounts of regulation to jump through themselves, just existing. They're a brand new business model. We know all about that. They're a brand new business model that's wrapped in regulation. And so that's right down our expertise. But it also means that, these guys have to go through their own legal compliance strategy discussions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to also get approval to do anything with any of the Bitcoin. So it's a different situation for each DAT, and it's a different situation for DATs even in the same country. But they're starting to explode. I think the model is going to increase in its growth, at least for the next 6-12 months. I don't know what will happen if cryptocurrency prices are on a definite downturn bear market type model, but at the moment, crypto's essentially going up over the midterm. Wall Street's getting on board. People are listing companies, reverse takeovers, listing SPACs with the business model of buying crypto, buying Bitcoin. There's a few others now: Cardano, Sui, ADA, that's Cardano, Ethereum, etc. But again, it just means overall, it's just much more capital coming into space. It's much more capital that's become institutionalized. the concept with an institutional holder of Bitcoin versus an individual is they're much more incentivized to find a yield because it's a business, right? A high net worth sitting on $10 million or $100 million of Bitcoin, great, good for them. They probably have other things going on, or they might be even wanting to sell a little bit, to create some cash flow. A DAT treasury sitting on 100 million Bitcoin is sitting there all day long thinking, how do we get more value out of this? How do we do this? MicroStrategy's led the way with all the different share structures and ways that they're using to issue shares and issue debt to raise money to buy more Bitcoin, to get more Bitcoin per share of the company. But for the companies, whether they're listed or not, they're looking at this going, well, what can I do? We've got to be able to do something with $100 million, right? Of value, right? And that's the same purpose of the development of the BTC Real Yield product, on top of all the other stuff we're doing and the infrastructure play and the launch pad and the decks. And I'll let Aaron talk about that a little bit later in a little bit. But the point is that this is like the biggest opportunity in the RWA space. We've got like a $2 trillion asset that I didn't check recently. That's 50% of the market share. If Bitcoin remains 50% of the digital asset space, which it always has for a long time, let's just assume that it does for the next 10 years. If we hit those targets by every bank, every professional trader, macro, raw pal, etc., we're staring at a 2, 4, 10, 20, 50, $100 trillion asset class as in digital assets, with BTC being 50, 60% of it the whole way. And again, it's just an incredible amount of value that's earning no yield. So the potential for the BTC Real Yield, the total addressable market for us, is the market of Bitcoin, which is why we're so bullish on this. And now we're seeing an entire new industries being created around Bitcoin, which means entire new, like a long growing, rapidly growing, institutional, intelligent, real big capital buying this asset and saying, yes, what do we do to get real yields in a legal compliant way that's not BTC-fi and it's not sitting on it and doing nothing. So it's hard to really explain how important this is, because I think that when we first launched this, people were confused. People are still confused now. We go out and explain it to people and they say, well, I'd rather borrow and pay 10% interest on my Bitcoin and go buy something. I'm like, you're missing the point. We're offering you 4 to 10% returns. You're paying 10% return. That's a 20% differential. That's how far away our product is from what you're thinking. But there just hasn't been anything in the market yet on a platform that's publicly available on chain with real asset tokens, which is why, like anything new and big, often people think it's crazy or it doesn't make sense or it doesn't work. But we're getting this. I'd say the team's getting the right validation from the right types of Bitcoin holders. And as we grow here, we're going to announce tomorrow our first major sort of partnership with a custodian. Custodians have all the Bitcoin. We have the second custodian under negotiation now, the third one under negotiation. We continue to push this out to offer these services to Bitcoin holders with the best custodian names in the world, to make sure that we can try and build as much trust and credibility around the companies servicing this product. Because obviously with Bitcoin crypto, it's a highly sensitive topic. It's a very important topic, and cyber and wallets and multi-sigs and all that is extremely important. We take that very, very seriously. So so that's what's been going on up, at least in the last week or so, I think. Look, I'll stop talking here. I think Aaron and Yohan probably got a lot to say as well. So Gene, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Julian. I think Aaron just joined in. Cool. I think we can get through some of the AMA questions for tonight. With that being said, I think, Julian, you mentioned about some updates on the Launchpad or the decks, and that's in line with some of the questions that are coming down now. So I guess the first one being, do you anticipate getting some deals in the next couple of months? Any thoughts around that? Maybe I'll pass that to you, Aaron, or maybe Julian, you want to take on that one.
Yeah, I mean, deals can mean a lot of things, but just quick update. We have had quite a few SaaS inquiries again, given the new push for tokenization again across the world and TradFi coming into the space. So we have started speaking to the new clients on their requirements and what they actually need. But we don't really want to move too far away from our existing developments that we have. So if the SaaS clients are willing to take on what we've built, IXS as is, we're happy to work together with them, and that's how we've been working with our other various partners as well. And just on the SaaS as well, we had a couple of clients that have come back that we actually signed on, and we had developed the tech for them almost a year ago actually, and they finally come back with their deals as well, and they're almost ready to launch. So there should be a couple more launchpad deals coming down the line as well. On top of that, we are speaking to a private credit fund right now that we're looking to onboard. We are already in the sort of due diligence stages and onboarding with that specific company already, so that we'll have a new private credit asset for users to invest into, and also for the BTC product for the BTC investors to invest into this product as well. There were some questions on the BTC Yield product as well. We finally got notice this week that the entities and the SPV setups are just about done now. It's taken about 2 to 3 months just to get the SPV set up due to regulation changes in the existing jurisdictions that we were working with initially. So that's coming to a close now, and we can start onboarding the clients into the BTC product. We have been speaking to quite a few clients on a weekly basis. And Jules and some of our sales staff were just up in Hong Kong as well, speaking to some of the potential clients for the BTC product. So we are in late stage conversations with quite a few of these clients. As Jules mentioned, we do have quite a few partners coming in as well on the BTC product that are going to help push and market these products as well. These are going to be large licensed custodians that are licensed. And I guess last thing, just an update on the DEX as well. The DEX has partially gone live. We are still pushing through some of the updates right now, including the charts, and we have re-established some of the pools as well on IXS. One thing to note as well, we are pushing out another update towards the end of the week that will include additional user interface updates, changing designs to align ourselves with the marketing designs and changes that we had done earlier this year. And we will be releasing a changelog blog just on the updates on the DEX as well. So there are quite a few updates, I guess, in the last couple of weeks that we've been working on. Maybe I'll pass it back to you, Eugene.
All right, thanks for that, Aaron. And I think that mostly answered all of our BTC Yield questions for tonight. And then I guess it's time to give you some airwaves, Yohan. So maybe we can ask. I think there are some questions directed at the marketing here. So, I guess the first question being, what does the team think about the unofficial content currently on X? And is there any maybe feedback to improve or specific areas to focus on in the short term?
Yes, sure. Looks good overall. The account like IXS Daily is active and tying IXS into the broader RWA conversation, which is positive. So that say we should tighten the focus, bring every post back to our core pillar, so BTC Real Yield, RWA, and regulatory strength, and make sure we are speaking also clearly to each audience. So in short term, I would suggest more scenario example and educational content, so the narrative feels sharper and more consistent. Yeah.
All right, thanks for that, Yohan. Yeah, I guess we can jump into the second question here. So I guess the second question being, what are some of the channels, platforms, and mediums will the new marketing efforts be targeting outside of X?
Yeah, so that's important question. So beyond X, we will focus on LinkedIn for lead generation and institutional thought leadership. Read it also to boost SEO and join a key RWA conversation. And also YouTube for more educational video content, and also rely some AMAs. We are also building a backlink and SEO strategy to reinforce visibility across search, but also generative engine optimization. So this way we balance institutional reach with community engagement.
Yeah, Gene, maybe I'll just add on to Johan's there. You know, we need to be nimble in this space to, you know, follow the puck where it's going. The RWA space has gone full tilt institutional this year. That was not always the case. For those that are new to the industry, up until a year or two ago, there was no such thing as tokenized treasuries and tokenized money market funds. It was only private assets. Private assets are very hard to scale. So tokenization is a better format for those shares, but it doesn't change the fact that you need to find buyers, all right? And price discovery is an issue. Explaining private assets to people. You don't have to explain what a treasury is to most people, right? But if it's a startup token or it's a real estate token, you've got to go and get into the weeds of the specifics about it. And it's very, very complex. So the position this year was to focus on the institutional side as the exchange settlement layer with this latest Bitcoin Real Yield product. That's a buy side solution, right? That's what people also missed. The traditional way over the last couple of years of buying RWA, get your hands on a stable coin, then you go buy an RWA token, right? So we're still got that channel open. We're now created this other channel where instead of digging in your pocket for fiat to get a stable coin to buy an RWA token, you just borrow against your Bitcoin and you get that RWA token. So you don't have to go and get stable coins or cash yourself, right? So that's one of the key things that the community needs to really get behind, is that we've brought an entire new buy side channel that's very different from the original buy side model, which still exists, which is people getting cash in their bank to get a stable coin to buy RWA. So we've doubled or tripled or whatever, I don't know the number of it. We've multiplied the channels of buy side, which has been the number one issue for RWA assets in the world over the last 6 years, right? And that's distinctive from utility tokens of RWA platforms. IXS token is utility token. A tokenized treasury is a real world asset security token, right? So then I'm not going to get too deep into that. We've tried to explain that many times, but there's some misconfusion and misunderstanding, I should say, within the industry of RWA. And a lot of people in the retail space think that utility tokens of RWA platforms, that's it, they're RWA tokens. It's the industry. It's because we've called this subset of blockchain RWA, which is why this is the way. But essentially, the most important message is we've doubled or tripled the buy side capabilities, but we're tying and we're marrying ourselves on the buy side, which is the number one important thing, to Bitcoin's growth and its characteristics that do not change, which is it doesn't generate yield like any other token because there's no staking mechanisms that exist like they do in DeFi and every other altcoin that's been produced, because Bitcoin's proof of work, not proof of stake. So yeah, on that sort of marketing side of things, we've worked very, very hard this year to position ourselves on the institutional side, not just focus on the original business model, which was developing an RWA DEX, IX Swap. And then the challenge there when we were very, very early was one issue. And the other issue was all the assets were private assets. They weren't publicly traded financial instruments. And I just explained what the challenges were there. So getting a lot of pools off the ground, which we did, they were still small and the capital was still tightened. So, you know, as we move forward now to retool the platform and go again, like we're looking at, you know, if you look at the RWA space now, it's growing. And a lot of the interest is around these vaults and around these pools of RWAs, and very much is some of it's same but different, but it plays towards that a lot of the DNA of what IXS originally was. But as we know that this becomes institutional, we need to focus on that space from an asset side, And then we still need to keep developing B2B relationships, crypto exchanges, fintech platforms. We've got a joint venture with 4 regulated crypto exchanges that have 25 million users KYC'd on their platforms. So we would power their RWA legally, and their users can buy and sell. Now that, for those that unaware of complex business deals, that's 4 crypto exchanges and 2 regulated RWA platforms signing a joint venture. It took about a year and a half. Now we've got to go build that out. So we've been constantly working on the buy side, which is the number one most important thing when you want to sell something. And we continue to find success there, but it's a longer game. We've got more of those partners in the pipeline. And on the marketing kind of, I guess, direction, we're going to ramp up these X spaces with creditable third-party brands that have real business partnership potential with us, and have an audience as well. So we want to grow the IXS community. We want to grow the number of holders, grow the number of buyers, and grow the use case. Aaron, I'll let Aaron decide if we want to share right now this tokenomics upgrade that we're making. That's really, wow, it's mind blowing. But it's going to make the IXS token above and beyond all other RWA tokens the world's seen to date. The other important thing is America. America is extremely important now for us, for the industry. All the stable coins are US dollars. All the RWA assets growing on chain are US assets. The US Treasury Secretary is going to print 2 trillion stable coins to help us all out, and it's all USA, right? So on that note, we've got a whole new advisory team that we've signed up already. They're working on a bunch of marketing activities, which will come out one by one, and that's all we'll say about that, but it's very exciting. And we're going to start doing a lot more with American groups related to marketing spaces, etc. The American capital outweighs every other country combined by leagues. And now we even see 50-60% of our web traffic is US without us really trying to focus on the US. Now we're really going to try and put a lot of energy focus on the US. I've been to the US a couple of times this year. We have mentioned our plans to move to set up in the US with specific US entities. Again, that's never fast, never easy, and never cheap. But that's definitely an important focus for us on the roadmap. I was waiting specifically. We've been waiting to see what actually happened in America, as in what was the result of all the rhetoric that came from the Trump administration. He talks a lot of smack, so some things happen and some things don't. So we've just been monitoring that on a daily basis, and it all looks like it's coming to fruition in a positive way. But again, they're writing their rules for the country now, right? The Stablecoin Act just came out, the Genius Act, the stablecoin legislation. The what's it called? The market coverage, or whatever it is, the name of the bill for the rest of the assets is meant to be coming at the end of the year, the next year. So it's also not. It also hasn't been 100% clear yet. What license should we get? And last thing you want to do is spend a lot of time and energy getting a license, and you pop out and you've got the wrong one, or you should have got a different one, or they change the rules on you 3 months later. So that's more 2026, I'd say, USA. But we can already move in there online, if you will, doing things the right way, and we're starting to see some real growth from interest in the platform, and we're going to put a spotlight on America through Yohan and our marketing efforts as well. And yeah, a bunch of other stuff. So there's a bit more coverage to ramping up what we've been up to, which I'm very excited to do. Gene, I'll pass it back to you.
All right, thanks for those amazing updates on the marketing and what is up next for IXS. I think everyone will be looking forward to our recap that is going out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And then I guess we are boiling down to the last question of the AMA, and this is a question that I would say I've been reading, I guess, nonstop for the past few years that I've been with you guys. And so I guess this last question is a tier 1 sex listing still realistic by the end of the year?
Oh, I mean, I can share my thoughts on that. It really is going to depend. Tier 1 listings have been an abysmal failure for 98% of tokens, at least on Binance this year. So everyone's screaming for a tier one listing in those projects has been hasn't come to fruition. I mean, we really need to have what's more important than the tier one listing, because you're now starting to see much deeper liquidity on DEXs for some tokens than SEXs, and it's the same for us, I believe. I haven't checked just recently, but I believe Uniswap provides a lot more volume than our SEXs. So and some of the SEXs, I think MEXC, can't remember the numbers, claims 20, 30 million users. So the tier one's important if it's an if and a but, right? So it's important if you're actually doing all the things that we've talked about earlier on the AMA, because just listing on a tier one exchange doesn't guarantee anything. And again, as I said, this year it's guaranteed price destruction and token down, because people just dumped the tokens, right? So you've got to have a growing community, the right types of products, the right type of marketing, and again, like then you've got to kind of earn your spot to get on a tier one. Apart from how crazy expensive the money they ask, but again, it's got to be matched to the other metrics of your project. So we've got to work hard on those metrics first. Look, I think ultimately Coinbase is one of our investors. So is Gate Ventures, they're LPs in our company. We've had discussions with them. Again, dealing with cryptocurrency exchanges is very difficult, and there's a lot of fun and games, and there's also a lot of cost. So it's really got to be at the right time. We want to do it. I don't want to make any promises, and things change quickly in the space. But that's sort of where I'd leave that, I think. And again, like if you're building up your project, you can get great price appreciation and great volume without being on that many sexes, or at least a lot of the projects that I know that are doing well, they actually pulled back the number of sexes they had. They concentrated the liquidity on one or two, and the same thing on the DEX side. So as long as there's a good venue on each DEX sex, that's enough. As long as everyone can register and it's simple. So we're actually having those discussions right now, which with our market makers as well, trying to see if there's a better way to do this and bring more liquidity to less venues. But of course, we don't want to lose high level. You immediately think, well, more crypto exchange is better than less crypto exchanges. But the reality is that's not true, because it depends on which ones, depends how many real users, depends how much volume there is. So yeah, look, we're thinking at it. I know that in the community of crypto that everyone thinks that's the holy grail. It used to be. I don't think it is anymore. But yeah, we'd love to eventually be on Binance and Coinbase. The chairman of Binance is one of our main advisors. Gabriel Bear, he's a friend of mine, but it's become a lot more professional over there. We don't, you need to have a good project. You can't just know people. But yeah, look, it's something that we keep open minded to, and it'll depend if we can hit a lot more of our marketing efforts and then our growth efforts. Then I think we could certainly get there. Aaron, do you have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, no,
Yohan?
I do agree with you. It is about the community, the volume, of the token that needs to come first before we actually listen to exchanges. I mean, we looked at the stats. We spoke to our market makers actually last week on this as well, and whether it actually makes sense to push for these tier one exchanges right now as well, because we are seeing a massive drop off in volumes across the whole space. I mean, even on Solana, which is one of the biggest chains, their volumes have dropped off significantly. That's probably because less people are gambling with all the meme coins and whatnot. But yeah, it really 98, well, not 98, only two projects in the last 1 year are green on Binance that have listed. So most projects have lost a lot of money. Number one, they take a large token allocation. Number two, they ask for a large fee up front as well. And you're talking about millions of dollars. It's not a small amount. So it is. Once we do get significant enough traction, and that's with the help of the community as well. And I think everyone's been doing a great job so far. And when the time is right, and hopefully markets take off in the next couple of weeks, we'll get to a tier one listing sooner or later. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts as well. Quite aligned with what Jules had mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, the it's why it's a super interesting time in the space. And project after project is failing. Uh, Project after project is failing to launch. There's been thousands, if not 10,000 projects waiting at PGE that haven't been able to do it. Understanding that everyone wants price up, but IXS I think is actually holding out pretty decently, and we continue to build and ship products, and we continue to turn up every day and kick and hit more milestones. Whether they are enough milestones for people or not is debatable, but it's certainly like maxing out the team capacity. So I think ultimately the way that I think about it is, you're going to and this is to the DNA of everything we've been talking about today. The new Where's the new money, right? Who's going to pump crypto in general? Like, apparently everyone in cryptos and in altcoins is poor and grumpy, so they aren't doubling down. So it's going to have to come from somewhere else. And to our plays to our benefit, it's coming from the real world. It's coming from Wall Street. It's coming from Web 2. It's coming from TradFi. It's coming from banks. It's coming from these places. So if we can get the community support and help to amplify the messages coming down the pipeline, if you actually if you believe in real asset tokenization, you understand you need these licenses to do this, and it takes many, many years to get there, and you need credibility, and you need to have these services, and then you have these insanely innovative products like BTC Real Yield and the RWA DEX and all this stuff, then we haven't even come close to hitting our mark yet. We're just getting started. That this is the type of product that and token community that you want to be part of. Super loyal, bunch of intelligent guys, and I think that's what we'll start to see as well in the community, which will be a shift. We will start to get, and I can see this already, more and more TradFi people coming. Right, TradFi people think a lot of crypto communities are just completely insane, and that is true often. We have a lot less kind of crazy community, I think, than many other projects, because there's people actually talking numbers, financials, calculations, and they're actually, again, we've been punished in the past for being too real, but I think that's now a strength of ours, that we can sink into as we go into this next period of time. So yeah, look, I think ultimately, amplification of the 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 key characteristics and elements of what is needed to be successful. We're going to redo a whole journey of all the things that have got us to here so far, including all of our great investors who have backed us. The products that we're launching right now, the assets that we have on the platform, the partnerships that we already have, and the new ones coming down the pipeline. Because you've got to remember as well, X is very noisy, Telegram's very noisy. People are seeing a million messages a day. Someone turns up to the community today, they're like, what's this project? Right? Okay, that's great. They've got a new person. But then, like, they don't know anything, right? So you're going to start to see us really honing in on the key messages that bring in new people, because that's what it's about for the community. It's to grow the community. Of course, we want to try to make everyone happy, but the only way people generally are happy is if the community grows and the token support grows and goes up. So the actual best thing that we could get as support is just amplification, sharing those messages. And I know there's some fantastic people. I can see some of the names in here that are constantly doing write-ups. Really, thank you guys for that. That's great. We have to stay on the professional business side, and you guys get to have all the fun with all the messages. But we really appreciate that. And we're looking at, again, as I said, we've got some new advisors on board, and we've got some great marketing experts and advisors that are going to kick off a few things very, very shortly, and all under the close watch of Yohan there. So we're excited by that. And I think, as Aaron said, if we can just, I'm in the camp that we're not going to have a meltdown this year, and we're going to follow the money supply, the M2 money supply, which crypto typically does. So I think that there's a lot of doom and gloom in the space because Bitcoin's gone down $10,000, in the last 2 weeks. How many times has it done that in the last couple of years? Like, I don't know. I can't, 150 times? I can't remember, but it's always the same. Everyone's like super euphoric on a tight little raise, super disappointed and depressed. It's kind of laughable now because I've been doing it for so long. But you got to think about the long-term trends and what you see going on at a macro level, both from regulation, from adoption, from government, from volumes, from on-chain. It's like it's all the right direction for us. We just need to keep going. And I think, like, the last thing that I'd say is I think that as we go to this new paradigm shift with, and one of the key components, which most people in the world don't really know, is like you've now got what I think is one of the most important things for RWA is you have the Secretary Treasury of the US. So the US government has said, we're going to print, we're going to allow, and we want trillions of dollars of stable coins. And the reason they want it is very selfish and self-centered. They want it because they've said, if you issue stable coins, that's fine. US dollar stable coins, that's fine. You must buy our debt, right? We've now got the American government who said, oh my God, we found another way for people to buy all our debt so we can remain the reserve currency, keep printing money and be the kings forever. So you basically, if you think about what happened, the entire RWA space kicked off with $200 billion of stable coins. That's when it really kicked off. So 2 years ago, the very first fixed income, US yield bearing treasury tokens, 4% on chain. That was the first time they came out. And it came out because of the unique element that stable coins holders don't earn any yield, right? It's 0%. So what happened 2 years ago was the start of the American government understanding that stable coins increase US dollar dominance. We want more of that. We can actually write the rules to make them buy our debt, and we can protect our own banks by saying that you can't give interest to stablecoin holders. So we just tick the box all over the box. We're the kings. And then you got them Besant coming on to X and saying that. He says that. This is what he actually says. That's verbatim is what he's saying here. So if you think about at the very beginnings of RWA at $200 billion of stablecoins, and then you get like America saying, no, there's going to be 10 or 100 times that, don't worry about it. Then you can see you can see the mathematics and where it's all going, right? And that doesn't even count Bitcoin exploding and all the other assets exploding and people cashing out into some stables and then looking for real yields and diversifying. So all of it is just tailwinds. So look, I think that it's never been. That's why I think it's funny, because you could get on X and last week and think, oh wow, this industry looks like it's about to close up and finish. There's so much depression and anxiety, but it's never been more bullish. There's never been more positive signs. Bitcoin's never been higher. Okay, right, it was 10 grand high the other day. And these cycles have always gone Bitcoin first. So any money going to Bitcoin eventually flows over. Now, it might be slightly different this time, but I don't think it's going to be any different at a higher level, where it first goes into Bitcoins, then Ethereum, then spreads out, and then it goes outside. And then hopefully we can all have a fun alt season at some point. Obviously, I can't control that, but that's what I believe. So I'll pass it back to you, Gene.
All right, thanks for that, Julian, and thanks for those amazing updates, everyone, and an introduction from IXS's new CMO. And I think everyone is going to be looking forward to those upgrades and changes. And I think that is it, actually. That is the last question for tonight's AMA. Again, we'd like to thank everyone, and I guess if there are any parting words from, I guess, you, Aaron, Yohan, or Julian, we can end it there.
I've done too much talking, but yeah, thanks again for everyone who's joined in. Appreciate the support as always. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. Look out for a big announcement tomorrow, and some incredible marketing partnerships and activities about to go live. Thank you, Gene, and thanks. I'll pass to the other guys.
Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate your time here tonight. As Joel said, lots of stuff coming down the pipeline. New marketing activities should start within a week or so now. BTC stuff should come down the pipeline this week and over the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to sharing the good news with you guys over the next couple of weeks as well. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Very happy to be here today and be part of this project. Very exciting about the future of this project. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. And as always, if you missed this one, we do have a recap going out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And that is it for tonight's AMA. Thanks, everyone. Bye.